All right. Hello, everyone. So thank you once again for joining this webinar today. So today I would like to take you through how you can protect the keys to your kingdom using what we call Azure Active Directory Privilege Identity Management. So when we talk about the kingdom here we're talking about your IT infrastructure. How do you protect the privileged users that you have? How do you protect them to, in ways in which they can have access to your infrastructure? So the keys now is the privileged accounts that you have in your organization. So moving forward, so the things I would like to talk about today, I would like to start with a quick recap of the previous webinar I have done, for the sake of people that didn't partake in it, people that didn't come. And then from there, I will introduce you to what privilege identity management is all about. Then from there, I talk about requirements to be able to implement PIM and also the benefits that uh, PIM actually offers. Then from there, I take you through the demo of PIM, and also if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them to the best of my capability. So moving forward, my name is Hakeem Abdusalam. I work for Tech Specialist Consulting Limited. At Tech Specialist, we are into IT advisory consultancy in general, and also software development. And we are into infrastructure, which includes cloud implementation deployment and also on-premises implementation as well. And also security is part of what we offer. So please, if you are in the meeting, please just mute your microphone. And also, if you have any question, just type the question in the chat bar. Like I said, I'll try my possible best to answer them all. So just to give you a quick recap of the previous webinar that we have done, we have spoken about cloud shared responsibility model in the past, because people always have the notion that as soon as you move your workload to the cloud, you are automatically secure. Where even though there are some truth to that, you are not totally secure. There are some responsibility that you are saddled with based on the cloud model that you are running, be it infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. We also made mention of the common email threat that we have and how we can mitigate them, such as phishing, um, ransomware, malware, and also identity impersonation. Because we understand the kind of era that we have now, where we are right now, which is the COVID era, people don't want to spend money. They want to maintain their operational costs. So things like Secure Score can give you that visibility into your whole organization to tell you which you can improve on that. They give you recommendation and also multi-factor authentication. This is something that can never be overemphasized. With multi-factor authentication, you can bring phishing attacks to the barest minimum, if not mitigate it totally. And also, we made mention of email validation and authentication framework that we can use, such as SPF, DKIM, and DMAC, to prevent things like spoofing, whereby when you send email to somebody, the recipient's email provider will check the email header against what you have set to send email, what is responsible for sending your email, either the IP, the MX record, or the domain that is responsible to send your email. So they will check this record to ensure that it tallies with what you have on your DNS record. We also made mention of tenant branding, how tenant branding is important in phishing mitigation. We spoke about exchange online protection and how you can create mail rules the essence of user awareness, and also advanced threat protection in protecting your email, such as using things like safe attachments, safe links, and anti-phishing policies. All these things that were the things that we spoke about in the previous webinar. So moving to today's topic, which is protecting the keys to your kingdom using privilege identity management. Like I said, there's been an increase in the rate of which there are data breaches nowadays due to the advent of COVID, in terms of the severity of the breaches and in terms of volume as well. And these breaches do occur maybe due to the IT administrator negligence, or probably the person doesn't have the right knowledge to be able to protect his or her environment the way it's supposed to be protected. And that is why we have things like, because we don't, obviously, data breaches will always happen because security is a journey, not a destination. We won't always get to that summit we want to get to at once. It's a journey that we need to take step by step. So, but when these kind of data breaches happen, how do we ensure that they don't escalate into a major incident? That is why something like PIM comes into play. So what does it do, or what is actually PIM? It is allows you to manage, control, and monitor privileged access to important resources in your organization. Yeah, so when we talk about privileged access, we're talking about your admin account. For example, the people on premise, we have domain admins, enterprise admins, schema admins. How do you protect all these privileged accounts from possible compromise? And these resources that we're talking about with PIM includes services like Azure AD roles, Azure resources, and other online services like Office 365 and Microsoft Intune. So why PIM or PAM? Oh, I'm going to talk about PIM and PAM, how they are related, because there are two acronyms that are always used interchangeably. PIM stands for Privilege Identity Management, while PAM is Privilege Access Management. There are cases whereby you have an account that also have privilege permission or privilege attribute. And with this, you can log in, you can use this account to log into computers that are not secure. There are computers that have keyloggers whereby when you put in your credentials, they log those credentials and people can take advantage of those credentials. Or in cases whereby users unintentionally or intentionally browse to a hostile website or probably a phishing site whereby your privileged account, get harvested. Or in cases whereby, because there are some organizations whereby they have a separation of concern, whereby they have different accounts for administrative tasks and normal account for your day-to-day activities like sending of email, working on Word document and the likes, right? So they have this kind of thing. But in some cases, end users or admin, they use the same password for those two accounts. So how do you prevent such cases so that when they compromise an account, they can use the same password to log into the privileged accounts that belong to that user as well? Or in large organization whereby privileged group membership may become bloated, whereby you have so many groups and you can't have you can't have a grasp of who belongs to what group and the like. Or in cases whereby you can't monitor your privileged accounts, what they are doing, if they got compromised, how can you quickly de-escalate that and all of that? So now this is where PIM and PAM, this is where they are useful. Now, Azure AD Privilege Identity Management allows you to discover, restrict, and monitor your privileged identity. So probably let me just tell you a quick story to put everything in a proper context. So we have a client that take security very, very seriously, that every year they do what we call a technology gap assessment, whereby it involves security auditing, um, security auditing. It involves things like security awareness, end user, and penetration testing. So, what normally when you want to engage in this kind of activity as a security admin, you will have ensured that your house is in order, all your privilege accounts. They have, what we call they meet the password complexity. Everything is the way supposed to be because you don't want any surprises. You've gone to check your domain admins to ensure that they don't have any account that is not supposed to be there. Mind you, most of these things you are doing them manually, right? So we have done all of these things, and the security guys came. They did all their pen testing and everything. They couldn't have access. But what happened was during the cyber security awareness for end user, there was an end user that has a security admin privilege. It belongs to an admin group that wasn't obvious. It wasn't obvious. So when they did phishing, social engineering for end user, they were able to get the user's username and password, and they tried it. And all the things they couldn't do, they had to go back to start doing all of those things. Meanwhile, because there was an oversight in looking at all the security groups and ensuring that people that are not supposed to be there are not there. So with PIM, it's alleviates you of all those. You don't have to worry about things like that because number one, you can discover the privileged accounts that you have in your environment, who belongs to what group, and what each everybody is doing. And you can restrict them, going by least privilege identity to ensure users have what they actually need, the permission they need to carry out their tasks. They don't have anything more or anything less. And you can monitor what people are doing. You kind of have an oversight into how people activate this privilege and what they do with it. And not only that, you can enforce what we call just-in-time access. Normally what we do is when somebody requires admin privilege, what we just do, we just add them to probably our domain admin account, our enterprise admin account, and we might forget to even remove this person from this group. Here you can set what we call a just-in-time access. Okay, what you want to do requires you to do it within an hour. Okay, you know what, I'm giving you this privilege for just 1 hour. When that time elapsed, automatically the access expire without you having to do anything. Or you want to take it up a notch by doing what we call role approval, whereby for anybody to activate the privilege that they are entitled to, they need to get an approval from the general admin or the supervisor, which PIM takes care of. And also it gives you a way to validate the role membership with what we call asset review, whereby you can do an asset review to check if who are my global admin, who are my admin, and do they still require access to have this kind of privilege? You can do that access review. Whoever that doesn't need that privilege, then you remove the privilege. Only that it gives you insight through alert and audit report to what your admin are using the privilege account they have been entitled with, what they are using, or they are doing with it. Now, this picture below actually depicts how PIM works. This is John right here, an ordinary user going by his day. He belongs to the IT department. So one of his responsibility is to create user accounts when we have new hire and the likes. So for him to do that, it requires probably a user administrator account or a global admin. When he wants to do that, he requests for that role. That role gets activated, then he becomes a superhero for that moment. From being an ordinary user, it moves to being a global administrator. Now, this being a global administrator is something that is time-based, just for a short period of time that will allow him to carry out the activity he's supposed to carry out. And after he's done and the time elapses, it goes back to being an ordinary user that he is. So let's assume his account gets compromised. Nobody will be able to use that account because what? The privilege has been de-escalated. He's now an ordinary user. If anything will be compromised, it will only be the things that he has access to as an ordinary user. So moving ahead, so for you to be able to use PIM, you need to have you either have Azure AD Premium P2 license, or you have an EMS E5 license for you to be able to use PIM. And the people that need the license are the PIM administrators, people that you have assigned a role to, or people that approve the workflow, or people that do access review for role membership. And the roles that we have eligible role. So with this role, it's just like saying, okay, you know what, a user, you have access to being a domain administrator, you have access to being a user administrator. But by default, these roles are not activated. You activate these roles when you need them. When you don't need them, you become an ordinary user. You're just eligible to those roles. So I will show you all of these things when we get to the demo part. And also the active role. The active role is like what we do normally, where you give a user an admin privilege, and that admin privilege kicks in immediately forever until you remove that user from that role. This is like a permanent activation. But now with the new PIM that we have what we call permanent eligibility as well, whereby you'll be permanently eligible to a role, or permanent activation or temporary activation, whereby you can set how long somebody has an active role and the likes. Now, before we go further, I'd like to just take us through some fundamental, because from when we were defining PIM, we said, it controls the way we have access to critical resources in Azure environments such as Azure AD role or Azure resources, just like we have on premises, whereby we have all these privileged accounts like your domain admin, your enterprise admin, and the like. The same way we have in the cloud as well, where you have a global administrator. A global administrator is the top tier administrator that controls everything within your tenant. And you have things like user administrator. The user administrator, what they do is they have access to things like, creating new user, resetting user accounts and the like. And we have billing administrator, such as, because we know cloud is pay as you go model, whereby your finance want to have access into, the costs that you are incurring and the like, or probably just to meet compliance and the like. You can give them these assets as well. And there are other assets. These are just the basic. There are lots of Azure AD roles that we have, which I'm going to be showing you. And also for the resources, just like we have NCFS permission and the likes on premise, where you give people access to share folders and the like. The same thing over here, but the terminology is just different. You have VMs, you have a blob storage, you have SMB file share and the likes in the cloud as well, whereby you can give people owner assignment, contributor assignment, reader assignment, or user access administrator. So all these things I'm going to show you do during the demo. So now, like I said, PIM and PAM is something that I always use interchangeably. They do almost the same thing, but PIM is targeted towards the cloud. It deals with elevator privilege on Azure to protect access to Azure roles and resources, while your privileged access management has to do with the on-premise users, such as your domain account, your domain admins, and the likes. Your domain admin. Uh, Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. So the privileged access management has to do with your Azure AD on premise, such as your domain accounts and the like. So if you're on premise, you should be looking at things like privileged access management. If you're in the cloud, you should be looking at PIM as well. So with PIM or PAM, They can protect you against things like pass the hash attack, pass the ticket attack, such as Kerberos ticket granting ticket. Also things like spear phishing attack. This is what PIM and PAM can protect you against. And also lateral movement attack, because attackers, when they come into an environment, they're able to compromise an account. They won't just stay there. They want to pivot into all the system and see what they can have access to. So with PIM, you'll be able to prevent all this kind of attack and also privilege escalation as well. PIM will be able to protect you from that. Now, the other key benefit of PIM, number one, is discovery. Like I said, you'll be able to know which user are assigned privilege role. At a glance, you know that, okay, my global administrator, my domain admin, these are the users that I have in there. And also just-in-time access by giving people eligible roles. Okay, this is what you're eligible to. And you can set it in such a way whereby for you to be able to activate your role, you must enable MFA, which is another security control, or probably you need to go through an approval, and it can be both as well. And also reporting, which gives you an history of what the admin is doing, and it alerts you in case there are changes in admin assignment. And also you have what we call access review, whereby you give justification for continued membership. If you're not supposed to have a group, why should you be there? So these are, the overview of the PIM benefit. So this is what the PIM interface looks like. You have the self-service part, which shows you the roles that you're entitled to. From there, it goes to request. For example, I'm entitled to a role, and I want to make privilege activities, something that requires admin account or admin privilege. I could see it there that request that admin has it been approved or not. And if you're an approver, if any request has been made, you see it under the approved request. And if you're supposed to review a user's access to verify or validate if they still need access to that role, you see that in the review asset. Why the administration talks about the things that we want to protect, our Azure AD roles, and also the Azure resources that we have, whereby we control access to these resources. And also all the things whereby you can know what people are doing with this role that you have given them. Most importantly, make sure you have an emergency account so that you don't get yourself locked up. Like a break glass account in case everything goes out, you can easily go back. Just for example, like people running, I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, Microsoft had an outage, the multi-factor authentication outage, whereby people could not authenticate using multi-factor authentication. So people couldn't do anything. So the people that was able to go back to work and work are people that have like a break glass account, whereby they revert everybody back to the normal way of using username and password and not using two-factor authentication. So it is always nice. This thing doesn't happen all the time. It happens like once in 5 years or something, but you don't want to be in that position when that kind of thing happens. So now I'll be taking you through the demo now, where I'll show you how to assign active role to a user, view PIM alerts, assign eligible role that are time bound, and activate eligible role. I'll also show you how to create access review as well. So sharing. All right, so this is my environment. I've logged into my tenant. I have different users that I'll use to do the demo. So firstly, this is a new version of PIM. Before, when you want to enable PIM, you need to consent and all of that. You don't need to do that anymore.
Can you go to the demo page, please?
Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So what I need to do is I'm on my Azure tenant with Yes, we can see it. We privilege the global admin, and I can just search for PIM. First of all, you must ensure that you have the license to be able to use PIM, which I have already. To verify that, if you remember, I told you for you to be able to use PIM, you need a minimum of Azure AD Premium 2. And you can see from here, I already have that license already. So I can just go in and go to PIM. I can just search for PIM and it takes me to where PIM is, and uh, I can start doing my configuration. Like I showed you earlier when I was showing you the interface where you have the task, the manage, and the activity pane. For you to be able to manage PIM, you need minimum of 2 roles. You have to be a global admin and also a privileged administrator. So if you come here to check my role, this shows me what I am, the role that I'm assigned. Now it's telling me I'm not eligible to any role, but if you come here, it shows that what I'm permanently assigned, as in the role I'm permanently assigned, which is global administrator and privileged role administrator, which means I can manage PIM. But before I actually go into PIM, I would like to actually just show you the roles that we have in Azure and the kind of resources that we have. So let me go to Azure Administrator, just like the way you go to your, um, just like the way you go to, if you're on premise, whereby you go to your Active Directory users and computer, same way you come here as well. And you can go and see your users, the kind of users that you have in the cloud as well. Sorry, I'm a boxing fan. You could see everything right here. And also, if you can go to the roles that you have, the built-in roles that you have, you can come and see all of them here and see what each role does. For example, I can search a global administrator to show you what a global administrator stands for. You could see
Um, Hello, everyone. Sorry, it seems Akeem lost internet connection. Please hold on while he restores his internet connectivity.
Hello, apologies.
I was disconnected. I had issue with my computer. I had to switch to another computer. So can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you,
Somebody
Akim.
respond.
Yeah, we can hear you, Hakim. Hello? Hello?
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. So I'm trying to share my screen. Uh, all right. Thank you. So as I was saying, I'm trying to look for. Can you see my screen now, please?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. So I could say things like user administrator. So you know what a user administrator does. Here you could see can manage all aspects of users and groups, including resetting password for limited admins and all of that. So this is for Azure AD roles. So for Azure AD resources, so if you want to give user permission to be an user administrator, all you just need to do is click on the role and just add assignment, because this user, can you see how it works now? This user doesn't have the privilege to do that. Now it's telling me you have eligible administrative assignment for these resources. Activate your role now to be able to do this task. Normally before, when you give somebody a role, immediately that privilege kicks in and you'll be able to do what that role is supposed to do. So let me switch to another account that can do that. What account is this? All right, this can do that. So for example, let me go to home, Active Directory. You have the roles here. You can search. I want to make somebody a global admin. I can search for global admin, click on the roles, and what are the role assignment. Right now, it's only the global admin that belongs to this role. I can add other people into the role. Go here and add the person. You can say, okay, because I like Mike Tyson, let me make Mike Tyson a global admin. So I can do that. Now, I don't want us to talk about PIM yet. So you just go through all of these, and I want to go to the PIM page to do all of that. So let's move into resources as well. Now, for example, I can go to my resource group right here. I have a virtual machine. Now, at the moment, I can do anything because I'm a global admin here, and also an owner to this group, because this is a resource, it's not an AD role, Azure AD role. Resources, you need to give them resources attribute for you to be able to manage them. I can shut down the VM. I can do whatever I want to do with this VM. Now look at this user over here. Because see, if I go to resource group, I can't even see anything right here because this user has not been given the access to view it. So we can change this by what? Going to this group, this resource group, then go to access control and say, okay, you know what? Let me give somebody the role to be able to work with these resources. So I can check to see if that person has a role already. For example, I want to give Joe Green access. Let me search for Joe Green and see if, can you see, it has no role assignment at all. You know, this just tells me that. So what do I need to do? I can go to role assignment and say, okay, you know what, I want to add Joe Green to be probably a reader. Now, what role do I want to give? There are lots of roles. I just want to give Joe Green a reader permission. You can see view all resources, but does not allow you to make any changes. So I can say, okay, you know what? I just want you to be able to read this. Add Joe Green here. Then I say save. Then probably Joe Green will need to refresh his page to be able to do that, or log in and log in back. So again, this is Joe Green here. So I can refresh and let's see what's going to happen if it will be able to see that. Okay, so I think I need to log out and log back in for that to take effect. So signing out. So let me go back in. Joe Green. I'm going back in. So I'm back in. Now what I don't have access to before. Wow. What is okay, right? So I can see it here now. So you could see now it doesn't have access before. Now it has access. So I can go to the VM part of it. Now it can only read the information. It's not supposed to be able to do anything, even though they are not being grayed out. Now, if I try to delete this VM, Joe Green is not supposed to be able to delete it because all he needs to do is to be able to read all the information. Now I've done it. Can you see? You don't have permission to do all of this. Now, but what I have done here, this guy will have this privilege forever and ever unless I remove it. But there is a way I could give him a time-based access using what we call privilege identity management. So let's go to the privilege identity management portal. I can search for it. So this is it over here. Like I said, I've talked about what the role stands for, the request, the approved request, and review asset. So for the role, we can check the role, the active roles that this user has. He has this role and they are permanent. For now, can you see they are permanent? So I can go back. So now I can go because what you're trying to protect is your Azure AD roles and the resources that you have. So I can go to my Azure AD roles and say, okay, you know, I want to create new roles. I want to give somebody access. Now I have different people over here. I can say, because these are all the groups that you have. And you could see the people that have active eligibility. You could see people that have, you know, eligible roles that are eligible to that role, but are not active. They need to activate it to be able to use that role. For example, application administrator, nothing is there. I think for directory readers, we have one active role there. We can scroll down to see all the different, for exchange administrator, I have somebody there as well. For global administrator, I have somebody with active role and eligible role as well. So let's assume I want to make somebody a global admin, right? So for example, I want to make AJ, I have AJ here, I want to make him a global admin. What do? I search for the role that I want to add him into. So if you're on-premise, this could be your domain admin, it could be your enterprise admin, and all of that. So okay, this is what I want to make him. Then I select the user that I want to add to this group, right? I want to add AJ to this group. I select AJ, then I can do next. So this is where it gets interesting. So what kind of assignment do I want to give AJ? Do I want him to be eligible? I want to make him active. So if I make him active, automatically he has access to that role without requesting for approval or anything having to activate it. I don't want that. I want him to be eligible. Whenever he needs to have access to that role, he should request for it. Then the assignment, when do I want it to start? Is it something I want to do in the future that, okay, you know what, your tenure or your role start in 2 weeks time, that is when it should kickstart, or when I want it to happen right away. And you could say, you could have a time bound to it. At this role, I'm only giving you for a certain day or a certain hour. So I'll just leave it as default and assign it to AJ. So AJ, oh, okay, because I couldn't assign it to AJ because I've already assigned the role to it already. So at least we get the drift on how to do that. So I can log into AJ and see the role that AJ has. Now, I think I have AJ logged in somewhere here. No, what is this? This is all. This is Jovi. Okay, let me log out of this. All right. So is it? All right, so this is AJ here. So let me maximize it. So if you have any question, you can type it into the chat box. So for example, AJ is a global admin. So for a global admin, you should be able, so for example, let's go into what the privileges that AJ has. So I want to go into my PIM. This is where PIM is. I can go there. Now, AJ can come to his role and say, okay, what role am I eligible for? Can you see? AJ is what? An exchange administrator and a global administrator. But the role has not been activated. For him to be able to use this privilege, he needs to activate it, right? Then he has no active assignment, so that means there is nothing permanent for him, and he doesn't have any expired assignment. So if I had given him a time-bound access while I was giving him the role assignment, I could say, okay, this thing is just valid for this certain duration. When that time elapses, you see it here that, okay, this role has been expired, right? So what he is eligible for. So whenever he wants to do any task that requires that role, he can activate it. Global admin should be able to, so normally a global admin should be able to create users, right? So I want to go to my Azure directory. I want to create new users. Can you see it is grayed out? It can't do that. So for him to be able to do that, what does he need to do? He needs to activate his role for him to be able to do that. Now, AJ will go to PIM and activate the role because he's trying to do something that requires privilege access. So he goes to his role. Okay, what role will allow me to do what I want to do? I think it's global administrator. What does he do? He clicks on activate. Now, if you want to activate, he knows what he wants to do. By default, it has been set that this thing, I'm only giving you all activation will last for 8 hours. You can say, no, what I want to do will just take me for an hour. So let me just make it 1 hour. You can click on custom and say, no, okay, no, not this. I just want to make it 1 hour. 8 hours is too much for me, so let me make it 1 hour. Then you need to give a justification for why you want to activate a role. We have a new hire, and I need to create an account for her. So he has done that. Then what happens? It tries to activate the role. So can you? So now he has activated that role, because the setting that we have is you need to go through an approval process before this role can be approved. Then I'll go back to the global admin to activate that role. So this is the global admin here. So you can come to pending requests. No, not pending. Can you see the pending request now? So you can come here. You can set it whereby it gets email notification as well. So you can come here and say, okay, oh, this guy needs to do this. This is the reason why he needs to activate this role, because there's a new hire and he needs to do that. Oh, okay, that's true. We just got somebody on board, so we need to create an account for the person. All he needs to do is to click and what approve. So all he needs to do is just to click this role and approve it. Why is this not responding? Cancel action. So I think Carly, because this guy is the global administrator and AJ is a global administrator, that is why he's not getting. But let me activate another role for AJ. Let me activate this role instead, which is exchange admin. So I can give it a ticket. So I'm going to show you all the settings, how I came about all these settings. Is the DT, PM, 1, 2, 3, and all of that. User. So I activate this role. So it goes through all the necessary things that needs to be done. Validating. So within 30 to 40 seconds, this should be done. All right, so okay, so I can go back to AJ. Okay, go pardon me. All right. Can you see? So pending request. What's going on here? Okay, let me just log out and log back in. I'm trying to log out and log back in and see. Ooh. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. So at time, these things do take time. So I'm trying to just. Oh, you know what? Let's try with another user and see. Let me quickly give Joe Green a privilege. No. Hold on. So I'm going to my. So I want to make Joe Green part of a user administrator. Let me just search for that. User administrator. Is he already? Access. Okay, so let me see. Let me add Joe Green here. What do I want to add? I want to add Joe Green. Yes, so assign. So Joe Green has access already. So let me go and check Joe Green now. This is Joe Green here. Yes. So we can go to PIM to check what access Joe Green has. So I'm going there. Now I can check his role to know what role is eligible for. Can you see it is showing here that he has a user administrator role. Now we can activate. So for me to prove that, I can try to create a user account. I won't be able to do that. Azure. So we can see that users, it is grayed out. So let him activate his role and see how that works. So he's trying to activate his role. It goes to his role because he wants to create a new user. He can activate the role here and give reason why he wants to activate the role. Okay. All right, so there is another setting I would like to show you. Each role that you enabled for a user, you can either say, you know what, I want the person to get approval, or I want the person to enable administrator. Now, by default, MFA is enabled. And that is why when I want to activate Joe Green's identity, privilege, it was asking me to enable MFA. So I can change that right here so that we can make the demo go faster. So I can go to Azure AD roles, search for roles, then I can go to, what's the name? User administrator. So you can do that for any of the groups. Then I can click on it and go to the settings. So if I go to the settings, these are all the things that you can do, right? For the settings. So you can say, by default, it is 8. You can say, I want to make it go beyond 8. I want to make it lesser. Then Azure MFA is enabled. And anybody that wants to activate the role must enable MFA for security compliant. So I want to disable that for now, just for test. And I say, okay, you know what? You need to give me justification and also require approval to get this role activated. Yeah. So who needs to approve? I want global admin to approve that. I hope you're following. These are the settings that you can change. Now, the assignment, what do you want to do the assignment? Do you want it to allow it permanently? You should be eligible forever or 1 year or anything that you want to do, you can do that. But you want to make it permanent and you want to require MFA or an active assignment. If you want to do this, you can enable all of these. And also notification. When you do all of these things, would you want it to notify? By default, it will notify the global administrator and privileged administrator role. And if you want to add other other users there, you can add them here as well by separating them with semicolon and all of that. And if you don't want to be bogged down with so many notifications, you can just restrict it to critical emails only. So I'm not interested in this for now. So I'll update the role. So we'll go back to Joe Green to be able to activate Joe Green's role. So I'll try and log in back with Joe Green. Sorry, we're almost wrapping up. So Joe Green comes here. It goes to his role. It sees that he has user administrator, is eligible for that. He can activate the role. And now he's asking me for justification. Why? I need to create a user. So what do? I activate that. So it tells me it's pending approval. Then I can go to the global admin, go to his role, his request. What request does he have? Refresh it. This thing used to take time before it reflects. Oh, okay, so this is it here. Sorry. Can you see this is Joe Green here requesting for approval, and he's given, okay, why do you need the approval? I need to create an account. Then I can click on him on his account and say approve or deny. If I'm not okay with the reason, I can deny. If I'm okay with the reason, what do? I approve. And I need to give a justification. Why am I approving? Because he needs to create an account. So confirm. When that is done, then Joe Green can come here. Where is Joe Green? Is this Joe Green? All right, so Joe Green can come here and say, okay, now I want to create a user. No. Now user. Can you see Joe Green can create a user now? Why? Because it has enabled, he has activated that role, and that role has been approved now. It can go ahead to create a user. So that is that about activating a role. And if that role, because that role is 8 hours by default, after that 8 hours, your user go back to an ordinary user without having to do anything. It's not permanently eligible for that role. It goes back to the to the default. So that is that. So let's just go through the settings that we have. So I've shown you how to change the settings that you have in terms of how people get approval and everything. Let's just go through it one more time. For example, for global administrator, you can change how people get approved for this role. You might want to say, okay, you know what, I want to enable MFA. For you to activate your role, you must enable MFA, which is a good security control. And you know what, 8 hours is too much for me. I want to limit it to 2 hours. You can do that. And I can say, okay, you know what, you need to give justification to activate. And for example, let's assume we have a ticketing system in our environment. Everything that has been done, you want to be able to document it. So you can say, okay, you know what, I want the ticket number. So that means for you to activate a role, you'll have gone to your ticketing system and, you know, input the ticket, okay, ticket, whatever number, you know, meant for activating it, so that you can give the ticket number while activating the role, so that everything can be documented for auditing purposes. So that is that for. Then you go to the assignment, what you want to do, because I've selected approver, it's telling me who do I want to select as the approver. It can be more than one person. Then I go to my assignment, what do I want to do? Do I want this person to be permanently eligible, that anytime they need it, they will activate it? Or I just want this eligibility to be for a certain period, which is here? Or do I want it to be active and probably, you know, expire at some point? So these are all the settings that I'm allowed to make. So we'll go into resources as well. So here, for resources, like we have done for AD, your resources is being controlled by your Azure subscription, because for you to create a resource on Azure, you must have a valid subscription. And you can have more than one subscription. First of all, you need to onboard your subscription by what? You come here, you discover your resource. So if you have any other subscription, I need to come here and onboard it, because I have just one and it has been onboarded. That is why we are not seeing it. So this is that for that. Then I can start, you know, giving people access based on the roles. Now you can see the roles that we have for resources is different from the Azure AD roles. Now here you have things like owner, you have things like contributor, and all of those things. So if you want to give people access to resources, you can come and do it here and give them time-bound access. Let's assume I want to give a user contributor access to a resource. I can come here and say, okay, I want them to be eligible as a contributor. Who do I want to give these assets? I select the person's name, Mike Tyson, and what the person has, what contributor access to my resource. So this is how you manage most of these things, and you can make sure it is time bound. What you want to do is just for this period of time. I can set that time. For example, you have a vendor that wants to come and do or implement something new in your environment, and they require privileged identity, and they have told you what I want to do is just for 1 week. You can come and set it up there. Okay, you know what? This assignment is just for this 1 week. After the 1 week, everything goes back to normal, right? So that is the advantage of PIM. So I think because time has been fast spent, so I'm trying to wrap up everything. And also for access review, let's go to the audit first, so you can see what the auditing is all about. So can you see all the things that we have done on PIM? Everything is showing here. Probably a user was created, all the a new user was added to a privileged group, or somebody activated their privilege. All these things are being documented, and you can export it into a CSV file and give it to probably your internal or external audit team to look at what you guys have been doing and see if you are compliant with the set down rules or not. So that is that for the auditing. So I would like to quickly show you the access review. Like I said, normally in your normal environment whereby we don't have PIM, you just add people to a group and you forget to either remove them when you don't need that group, when you don't need to belong in that group or not. So I can come here, for example, I want to know the people that belongs to my global admin group. I want to access them to know if they actually need that group or not. So I can come here and say, I want to create a new access review for my global administrator. You can do for more than one role anyways. Let's say admin, new global administrator role. Why I can give description. Where do I want it to start? I need it to start now. Is this something you want it to happen 1 month? Just time, for a single time, or you want it to happen weekly, monthly, and all of that. Just this one time, we can do that. Then everyone, I want to audit everyone. Then what role do I want to audit? I just want to audit my global administrator role. That is what I want. If you want more than that, you can add it there. You can add more than one group. Then who should review this? Do I want to be the one to review it, or I want to select, do you want the individual to review it, or I want to select a user to review it? So individual can review it and give justification why they still need to hold on to that role or not. So I want somebody to review it on their behalf. So I want their supervisor to do that. So I'm telling supervisor, please review this group. There are other settings you have here. Like for example, let's assume I have reviewed a group and I see that somebody doesn't need a certain permission. I can deny it. So what happens when I deny it? Should it take effect or not? This is what this setting is all about. So when I deny somebody, it doesn't take effect. You need to go in there and remove it manually. But if I enable it, anybody that I deny, automatically it gets removed. All this. So I can just start that so that we can quickly wrap up. It should show here any moment from now. So the review that I have, so pending, so review assets, the review, because this guy is what do you call it? Is a reviewer. So he has seen the global admin, what do you call it? The global admin review that I told him to review. So he can go ahead and start reviewing those people. Okay. All right. I'm gonna refresh. Sorry, this is the one I just created, this. So you can go there, then it's going to list everybody that belongs to the global administrator. AJ is there, so it's telling me I should approve. So he's giving me recommendation, like, okay, I think you should approve this person because this person has logged in the past few days. So if somebody has not logged in for a long time, obviously he doesn't need that rule. So it will tell you to deny that kind of person. So I can click on 2 of them. I think these people, they still need this to belong to this group, and I can give them reason. I can say they still need the group. Okay. Group. So then I can say approve or deny. So if I deny, they get denied access, or I can approve it. Okay, still keep using your group. So that is that. So you understand how to activate role, how to assign role to users, and how to do access review. So so that is that. So probably in our subsequent webinar, we could do something for the on-prem user using PAM, although that will take some time to set up because you need a domain controller and the likes and several things that you need to set up. So that will be what we will be looking at in the future. So thank you so much for being part of this webinar. I am grateful. Thank you. So if you have any question, please, you can start asking your questions. All right, so I will stop sharing my my screen now. All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. This is actually not a question. Is there a possibility to get this video sent to those that attended your seminar?
Yeah, definitely. It's been recorded. At the end of the day, we will share it on our YouTube page. So we share the link with you and you can go there to have access to it.